We are at the Game of Life Conference, our annual youth leadership conference in the city of Kent.
The Game of Life is so important to these kids because it's peers teaching peers, and it's on topics that are important to them and that they can relate to.
Yeah, I think it was better for kids to pick what kids learned about, because kids know what kids are actually interested in and what they really like to learn about and what to do.
Students like to listen to students. They don't like to listen to adults talk, and they learn more from each other than they learn from us because there's more of a connection.
For example, if an adult talked to me, I don't know, I wouldn't feel as comfortable as talking to a peer, like somebody that I could relate to and have connections with and have them understand exactly how I felt in that moment.
Nobody wants to be talked at. Nobody wants to, they want to have a conversation, and it feels different when it's somebody that you can relate to instead of an adult standing up there saying you should do this or you shouldn't do that.
I think it's because people are used to hearing things from adults, and so maybe they start to mute them out, kind of like in Charlie Brown when they hear the teacher just going like wah, wah, wah. When they hear someone their age and someone in their social group talking to them, it might change, like open their eyes a little bit more because they're actually willing to listen what we have to say.
It's just more about, hey, this is the reality that I'm in, and who understands that better than somebody else that's in that same place.
We got to share what we really wanted to do, and we got to share our point of view.
There's a conversation that can be had from every point of reference, and everybody brings something to that, and it gives all the kids a chance to talk about what's going on.
Kids have great imagination because they're really smart, and so they know what's happening at school.
I think they need to realize that a majority of their peers are making great choices. They're being positive leaders in their schools, and they try to use that as the influential piece rather than saying so many kids in your school are smoking marijuana or whatever it might be, and that's not the case. So we really try to show them that there are positive things that are happening.
The Youth Board is a group of 7th through 12th graders from the Kent School District that meet every week during the school year.
We meet every Wednesday or every other Wednesday at the Kent Senior Center from 3:30 to 5, and we're looking for new members right now actually, so if you're interested you should join, but it can be from anyone that's in 7th grade all the way to 12th grade, and we start planning workshops that we want to have at the Game of Life.
The very first meeting we plan out these kind of topics that we want to show at in each workshop, and so like every year there's like the same topics like drugs and stuff, because that's, you know, a pretty prominent issue in our community, but so every year we try to bring up something new. Like this year we talked about current world issues, which we didn't talk about last year, so that's pretty interesting.
If the events aren't current, then it kind of becomes irrelevant, so I think it's important to change the Game of Life every year and what we teach.
They get here in the morning, they hear a dynamic keynote speaker. This year it was Houston Kraft, who connects to the kids the moment he starts talking.
I'm just kind of nervous because I don't know if you remember him, but you and my brother went to school together, and he talks about you all the time. Oh, that's weird. What does he say? She goes, no, he said, I mean, it's like, in particular, there's this one moment, and his name is Tom Miller, and in my head immediately I went back to high school, and I remember this kid kind of well. He was a year younger than me. He always wore this black leather jacket, his hair was spiked straight up, and he wore these big framed glasses that magnified his eyes. And I saw him around, but I didn't know him that well. And we talked a couple of times. She goes, you know, Tom and you, I guess one day you were walking around together, and it was after lunch, and I think he was having kind of a tough day, and you walked with him for like 5 minutes, and at the end of you guys' conversation right before class, you put your arm around him and you just looked at him and you said, hey, I just want to remind you that I love you, buddy. And he talks about that moment all the time, and I just wanted to know, the reason I'm so nervous, I just wanted to know if you remember too. And immediately I start like sifting through the file cabinets in my brain. I'm like, oh no. Because she's looking at me like, do you? I'm like trying to figure it out, trying to find it, and it's so frustrating because like I can't pull it up. Well, that's okay. Then she kind of perked up and she said, you know, Houston, I don't know how well you knew my brother, but him and I, we've always been best friends. We've always been really tight, even now that he's in college, we talk every single day. And all throughout junior high, middle school, and high school, we would talk every single day because my brother Tommy didn't have a really easy time. He was kind of like socially awkward. He was a little bit different. And in a huge school, he sat alone at lunch every single day. 2,000 people would walk by him, and it felt like no one ever even looked at him. My brother didn't have a really easy time. Even when people did see him at school, they would make fun of him. They'd make fun of him for his weight or his glasses or his hair. They'd walk by him, and even those moments when they weren't completely ignoring him, they made him feel worthless. He's my best friend. And we would talk every single day, and I know how hard it was for him. And over the years, it got harder and harder for me to help make him feel good, to make him feel important. And I remember his junior year, it was the worst. He would show up every single day, and he was hurting. He would go right to his room. He wouldn't even talk to me anymore. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to help. She said, I guess it's okay. It's okay that you don't remember. But I think it's important for you to know that Tom does. I just want to thank you because I don't think you'll ever have any idea how important that moment was to Tom. He was hurting really bad, and you helped him a lot. And she gave me one of those hugs that pinned my arms down to the side. She squeezed really tight. She ran out the door. And I was left standing in that gym, a gym where I spent a lot of time trying to make a really big difference in my school. A time where I was convinced that love and agape meant doing big things in order to make a big difference. And as Annie walked out that door, it occurred to me that maybe the most important thing I've done in my life, maybe one of the most important little things I've done to help someone else out, happened in a moment that I don't even remember. Happened in 5 seconds. A simple moment of kindness. A quiet choice to go out of my way to practice love. And I still think to myself, maybe that's what love is. Little things. Little things that we do every day in a small way that make a big impact. Little things that we have opportunities to practice every single day in 5 seconds, 5 minutes.
I learned being nice is a really nice, helpful thing to other people and how they feel.
A lot of people do bullying and stuff like that, and we need to stop doing that because it's hurting people.
Our kids either experience or hear about it in the hallways, or know somebody that's had issues with something, and so I think almost everybody here can make a connection to something.
So I think there's also a separation between understanding of what adults think is happening versus what's actually happening in their lives.
Spread out, find your own spot as far away from everyone as you can. And then I'm going to shout out some instructions to you guys. It's called My Spot. So where you're standing is your spot. This is my spot. Your goal is to get as many people to your spot as possible. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, you have 2 minutes. Okay? The person who gets most people to their spot wins. Make sense? Thumbs up? So get as many people to your spot as possible. You have 2 minutes. Ready, set, go. I got this. There's a cup of coffee. Here, one nice cup of coffee. Come on. Let's go to my spot. Who thinks that they were successful in this activity? Okay, why do you think you guys were successful? Someone from this group.
Got a lot of people in our spot.
So they got a lot of people in their spot. So I told you guys, person who gets the most people in their spot wins. Okay, do you guys think you guys won?
Yeah.
Okay, why else are you guys successful?
Because we had communication.
Communication, in what way?
Like I was telling people why they should come over and like why they should be in the spot.
Yeah, what kinds of things were you telling people?
He plays baseball and I play softball, and I was like, that's a connection right there.
Okay, so she was like, I know what you like. I'm going to tell you to come over here. We can connect. What are you saying?
She said something like that. I would have gone over there. Like that's
Okay, so some people missed out on your sales pitch over here. So it sounds like you tried to find people that had things in common with you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your strategy? Both of you guys.
Well, I didn't want to lose, and I figured 2 is better than 1.
Okay, so she grabbed 1. I like that attitude. Over here. What was your guys' strategy over here?
People that we were closer to the sitting area when we came back.
Okay. So they were saying, hey, we're about to go here pretty soon. Come on over and join me. Were you alone at first? Were you the one who started this movement? Okay. Okay, did you grab friends? Did you grab random people?
I grabbed 1 friend. Well, I grabbed 2 friends, and then I grabbed.
Okay, you started out grabbing people closest to you, and then more people started to join you once your
I
spot
grabbed all
fell.
of my new friends.
What'd you say?
I grabbed all of my new friends.
All your new friends. Oh, I love it. We're all gonna be best friends. BFFs. Okay, who is standing alone right now? Why did you standing on your own spot. He's got his own spot, strong, independent man. Okay, so he just decided to stay. Why didn't anyone grab him into their spot? You got 2 people over here standing in their own spots. Why didn't we grab the people that are standing alone into our spots? Because we didn't see them. Okay, so we didn't notice them. We weren't looking for them. Why else? You tried. How'd you try?
I said.
You said come over here. Did you guys hear her?
And then he like walk over.
Okay, so you tried, it didn't work, and then you're like, okay, it didn't work. We'll just leave it. It sounds like a lot of people kind of grab friends first, and then a lot of you guys notice, okay, this spot's getting big, I'm gonna walk over to this spot. Some of us ended up standing alone and didn't really get grabbed, or we didn't realize we were getting grabbed into a spot and just chose to stand alone. Some people ended up teaming up and figured we thought 1 was better than 2, or 2 was better than 1. That's awesome. And then you guys said you had confidence in your spot. So you're like, this is the right place to be. It's comfortable, it's easy. And what I want you guys to see is that this is pretty cool symbolism on kind of what happens on a daily basis. Why you feel confident joining the certain people around you. Why certain people get left in their own spot. Because what we didn't realize, how could we have all won this game? Does anyone have an idea?
I'm gonna jump in here.
What?
We all could have just agreed not to came together.
Yeah, exactly. Here, everyone come over here. Straight into the middle. You're spot on in your spot. My spot. So many puns. Come on in. Really close, really close. It's so funny because I gave you guys 2 minutes, and in the moment I said ready, set, go, everyone ran different directions. When we could have all just taken 5 steps in the middle and everybody.
I thought it was going to be where there was just certain spaces in one big room that we would be in, but instead it was in many different rooms.
For my first one, I did red light, green light, with the police, like seeing how it was being drunk and the vision.
It's a lot easier to learn things hands-on than it is to just go through lectures, and so when we let them experience some of these things, I don't know, I just think it helps them learn better.
You know, we help teach police science at Kent Meridian, and there's like 1,800 kids at Kent Meridian. You guys are going to be personally touched. Personally. You're going to know someone, and you're going to have a family member that is hurt or killed in an accident that involves one of the 4 things that I talked about. Okay, and so be careful of those things, all right? If you guys can be diligent about not speeding, about wearing your seatbelt, about not driving distracted, and definitely not being impaired, it will save life. It will save life. Maybe a life in this room.
We talked about things we could improve on, but at the same time, there was a lot of things that we did good this year, such as like just getting everybody, like we made people feel more comfortable, and we actually got out there to talk to them and get to know them instead of just being leaders. So we actually one-on-one had to talk and like got to know them.
So if I was an angry person and I was really, really mad, and I went over to him and I took it out on him, I was like, can I get you? I was like, you suck. You know what? I don't like you at all. Go away. Like, I'm just super mean. Do you think he's gonna feel good? No, right? So then what do you think he's gonna end up doing? Going to another person and making her feel bad. Right? Any participation, guys, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, if I'm mean and he's mean, then everybody's gonna be mean. But then if you make a little change and I'm nice to one person, he's going to feel better about himself even if he's having a bad day. And maybe he'll go to another person and make them feel better. So then with this, the entire world changes.
I think it gives them somebody to connect to. You know, they could connect to Erilyn, who told her story in the leadership workshop. Like, oh, I know somebody in the lunchroom that's just like that, and maybe I should take that chance.
It's a really, like, generic topic, but it's so generic that it's relatable, and that's why I chose to tell it. You know, I would never really thought of myself to do that, but forced myself to get out of my comfort zone, and I did it, and it was actually pretty fun. Hi guys, I'm Erilyn. I was gonna jump right into my story. So 8th grade year, I attended Meridian Middle School. We went to Meridian. Hi. And so I remember clearly at lunch, there used to be this girl who sat at the end of my lunch table next to my group of friends and I, and she was, you know, your typical easy target for bullying. She had these pigtails and she wore these really big baggy clothes that were just too big for her. And, you know, we snoopy little 8th graders, sorry 8th graders, no offense.
we made fun of her and we were like, oh, why is she wearing pigtails? You know, she's way too old for this. She shouldn't be wearing pigtails. And yeah, I guess like every day she sat by herself. My friends and I made fun of her, and it wasn't really a nice thing of me to do. I never really got the courage to, you know, stand to my friends and be like, oh, you know, guys, this isn't right. You shouldn't do this. But, you know, I really empathize with her because when I was in 7th grade, I knew what it was like to be alone. I was a pretty big loner. I used to sit alone at lunch, and I used to like come home every day and cry because I didn't have any friends. And so I just really hated middle school. And so, you know, I really knew what she was going through. But at the same time, I was, you know, 8th grade year, yay, like top of the class, whatever. And, you know, I had this group of friends finally, and so I was pretty content in the situation I was in. So I was pretty torn apart, like, do I help this girl because I know what she was feeling, or do I stay in my current situation because it was so easy to do the wrong thing, right? It was just so much harder to do the right thing, which was talk to her. But so yeah. And it wasn't until one day that, you know, I found that I was sitting by myself and she was by herself because all my friends were gone. And so I was like, hey, what the heck? I'll talk to her. And so I came to her and said, hi, my name's Erilyn. Oh, okay, cool. Nice name. You know, it was pretty awkward because we're both pretty socially awkward people. Socially awkward conversation. But, you know, the mood started to lighten and we started getting into things. And I realized that, wow, this girl's a big nerd. That's okay, because I'm a big nerd too, and she really likes Star Trek, and I love Star Trek. Who else in here loves Star Trek? Yes, yes, yes. Next generation? Okay. Anyways, yeah, so she was a huge nerd, and I realized that, you know, all my judgments about her were just so wrong, and all my friends were just wrong. And it's, you know, that really cliche moral, don't judge a book by its cover. And so when my friends came back, I didn't really talk to her as much, you know. Like, I still talk to her from time to time, here and there, but I began to notice that once I started talking to her and being nice to her, my friends did as well. And so, like, throughout the year, this girl just, like, crept up on our table, and sooner or later, she was, like, assimilated into our group. And I guess it just shows that, you know, you don't have to do this big, extravagant, all-out deed to make someone stay better, or, you know, 8th grade year better. You just gotta decide, you know, this is right, let's do it, just do it, you know, like the Nike logo. Slogan. Yes. And this kind of relates back to Houston craft story that you told this morning. You know, sometimes you just gotta love agape, apage. Agape. Yeah, agape. The end.
My favorite was my first class because we learned about not to drink and drive, and the guy that was telling us this story, his daughter actually died in a really tragic car accident, and he taught us that you shouldn't really, it's not good to drink and drive because anything can happen, so be careful because you don't know what's coming tomorrow. All of my classes were really good, but that was probably my favorite one.
Everybody piled into their cars and heads home, right? And but one particular car driven by a guy named Joshua Bloom was seen driving recklessly on the Auburn Black Diamond Road. He was darting in and out of traffic at high speeds and playing chicken with the people coming towards him. It was later determined that he was driving nearly 80 miles an hour on this two-lane curvy road when he entered a curve at a posted speed limit of 30 miles an hour. And that's when he lost control and he crossed over the center line. A truck hit him, and the truck went up and over the top of him, landed on its lid. The car turned this way, and they were T-boned again. And as this was going on, the people in the car were all screaming, "Stop, Bloom, stop! Slow down, slow down!" They didn't do it. When the first responders arrived on the scene, they found the driver was unconscious. The steering wheel was in his chest. One passenger was lying outside of the car with major injuries. Two were in the back seat, and one, the only kid that was wearing a seatbelt that day, was literally trying to walk away from the crash because he knew that alcohol and drugs were involved. According to some of the detectives on the scene, it was one of the worst crashes that they've ever had to investigate, and it was a parent's nightmare because it involved alcohol and drugs, high speeds, and reckless driving, and showing off, and screams, and pain, and death. 2 passengers in the back seat. It's a 13-year-old 7th grade boy named Nicholas Spees, who went to Cedar Heights Middle School in Kent. He was a friend of the driver and a beautiful 19-year-old college student named Heidi Marie Munson. My daughter, my firstborn.
I think that we can use the bad things that we see and kind of craft that into something positive and get a positive message out.
There's a lot that teenagers can get into. There's so many different situations that can happen. So we just want to make sure that we educate them on what they can do if they get into a situation or how they can prevent something like that.
And I think they realize that there's value in all of this because there's those little nuggets you can take away and give you things to think about and work on for the next year.
We tried to pick teachers for each workshop that make their workshops interactive and entertaining, not that you sit there and you get bored.
When I think about stepping out of my comfort zone, I think about my friend Alex, all right? Because every time I run Alex, I know that he will somehow challenge me to be better or do something that will completely push me, all right? It will get me to think differently about something, or it will get me to try something new. And I just have to trust Alex's wisdom. He's a teacher down in San Francisco, and I was at a conference there not too long ago. And I was just at a conference not unlike this one, and I kept telling students, step out of your comfort zone, step out of your comfort zone, step out of your comfort zone. It kind of sounded like a broken record, all right? It was just step out of your comfort zone, step out of your comfort zone. We're going for lunch, Alex and I, and we're walking by Dolores Park, and so he's like, Luis, you know what? When was the last time you stepped out of your comfort zone? And I thought about it for a moment, and suddenly I realized, I don't remember. I don't remember when was the last time that I stepped out of my comfort zone. And he wanted to tell me, Luis, you know what? Stay right here in this corner. It's like, okay. I'm gonna go get you lunch. Don't worry about it. I'll see you in about an hour or so. Just stay here. For 1 whole hour, I want you to stand in this corner, open up your arms, smile at people, and give them a hug. To as many as you can. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm not gonna do this. But it's Alex, right? And I trust in Alex's wisdom. So I said, okay, I'm gonna stay here, I'm gonna do this. I stood there for a whole hour, opening up my arms like this, just smiling at people and just kind of like looking down at first. The reaction, as you can expect at first, was that people thought I was creepy. So people, instead of approaching me and hugging me, will walk to the opposite side of the street and keep on walking. Of course, I was just like there like this, right? After a little bit of time, it took me about 20 minutes or so that I got better at it, right? I began approaching people and talking to them a little bit differently. And still people wouldn't hug me. A grandma first approached me, she had a Chihuahua dog, and I was like, and she looked like my grandma. I was like, I need to hug this lady. Maybe I was a little too eager about it, and she said, no, you cannot hug me, but you can hug my dog. I did. I picked up the Chihuahua, I hugged the Chihuahua. Some people like just give me quick side hugs, some people gave me high fives. Some people held on to me for a really long period of time, so it was awkward for me. You know, after a good 45 minutes, I came across this lady. We talked for about 15 minutes. 2 weeks earlier, she had found out she had cancer. At the end, I told her, hey, can I give you a hug? And she said, yes. I hugged her, and she said, you know, I really needed that. And she just walked off. I hugged a dad who had just reconnected with his kids. He walked out on his family when his kids were very little. And I could relate to that because my dad also left when I was very young. And he told me, you know, at the end when I hugged him, he was like, I wish that one day my kids will hug me the same way that you just hugged me right now. And I said, I hope so too. And he left. I actually ended up staying there for 3 hours giving hugs to people. My friend Alex never came back. Alex was 2 blocks away filming me the whole time. And then he gave me that videotape for my birthday. It's pretty cool. I do trust in Alex's wisdom.
It's important to learn things like suicide awareness and everything, but we don't want to overwhelm these students, and so we make sure that we lay off a little bit, and when they're just eating, we don't want to start educate them about depression and stuff like that. We want to make sure that we keep the vibe happy and light, and so we add games and stuff like that for them.
Fun games like blindfold musical chairs or, you know, limbo, whatever it might be, to get them moving and to get to know them, get to know each other. It helps create that connection between them. Not only them within their own schools, but them with everybody that's here. really try to not make this a one-day learning experience because that's proven not to be effective. You know, so they show up for 6 hours and hear people talk, and then that would be the end of it. We really try to get them to take what they've learned and apply it either in their schools or their communities to an issue that's relevant to them, to this, you know, to their schools. So it takes learning from 10 students and brings it to 300 students.
At the end of the conference, the kids get together with their schools and they sit down and they say, okay, these are the things we talked about today and this is what's going on specifically in my school. So the kids from KM say, you know what, this is an issue that we're facing in our school, and they come up with a project.
We call that their spring project that they're going to apply once they get back from winter break, and we provide, the Kent Police Department provides them with a little bit of money to be able to do what they want to do. And so hopefully they can bring the change back to their schools.
We should do like a PowerPoint and like a play, and we should we're gonna maybe go up in front of our whole school and tell them that it's not right, and then maybe give out bracelets that say something nice on them.
We were actually talking about how we can do programs where we clean outside because people do vandalism and stuff, or we stop bullying, or we stop, you know, all that stuff that has an effect on other people.
We are planning to make posters and put it up in our school to stop vandalism, stop trying to use social media to get attention, and stop bullying each other.
And they tailor it to their school. And so they leave hopefully with some leadership tools that say these are ways we can reach out to our fellow students. They leave with some confidence that says I can do this, and as a group we can make an impact, and some energy. And the kids are ready to take on the challenge of being leaders in their schools.
It is powerful. And you don't think about it when you're here during the day. It's when you hear about it a year later or even 3 years later. I heard a story about a kid using something they did here and in their follow-up project in a college essay. And so you don't realize how far-reaching it can go.
Well, if you hear about it, I think you should tell your teachers to come. If your school isn't here, you should go to it, and you should ask your teachers if you can come, because it's a really eye-opening process.
Yes, I will come back next year.
I really want to come back next year. It was fun, and I might see if I can get my other friends to come as well.
I think everybody should go to this. It's it's a great learning experience. You step out of your comfort zone, you meet new people, and there's good food. So
I'm gonna join the youth board.
We're looking for new members, and we're going to start meeting again in January, and if anybody wants more information, they can certainly send me an email.
I'm going to try to join this because I think it's really good, and I want to try doing stuff like this.
Anybody that's interested in making a difference in our community, or just getting out, or even just getting community service hours, as long as you follow the requirements of a member, which is don't party or don't do drugs or whatever, then you can be a part of it.
I'm thinking about joining the youth board as long as it goes along with the schedule and if it's okay with my mom and dad.